Today, we're going to dive into a pretty simple story about a massive transformation. It's about a guy who was, well, lazy. But as you'll see, the real lesson here might just hit a little closer to home than you'd expect.
And right from the start, I want you to keep one question in your head while you listen. Is this just a story about some other guy, or do you see a piece of yourself in it?
All right, so our story kicks off with a really familiar problem. A state of being that, let's be honest, we've probably all felt. This is section 1, There Was a Lazy Boy. So our main character here is a boy who is just incredibly lazy. He was kind of caught in this comfortable, easy loop of doing nothing, where every single day just blended into the next.
It's a simple idea, but it's worth asking, right? Does any of that sound familiar? You know, that feeling of just letting precious time kind of slip through your fingers?
I mean, his daily routine was basically a masterclass in laziness. He'd wake up super late, way after the rest of the world got going. And his approach to pretty much any task was always the same. Do it later. Later was his favorite word.
But then, something happened. Something came along and completely shattered that comfortable routine. And that brings us to section 2, a scary dream. This was the moment that changed everything for him. So one day, he just stopped. He actually forced himself to imagine what his future would look like if absolutely nothing changed. He just let the tape play all the way to the end, and honestly, what he saw was terrifying.
The very first thing he saw was just complete and utter failure. He saw every opportunity he ever had, all the potential he was born with, not just missed, but totally wasted, turned to dust.
And right after that freezing cold vision of failure came something that felt even heavier, this crushing, suffocating weight of regret. It was like carrying the burden of 1,000 what-ifs that he knew he could never, ever go back and fix.
And at the very end of this dark, miserable road, there was only one thing left waiting for him. Just profound loneliness. He saw himself totally alone, realizing that his years of doing nothing had slowly, quietly pushed everyone away. Man, that vision was like a shock to the system. A bucket of ice water to the face. This was the exact moment it all turned around. Section 3, the decision to change.
Staring right into that awful future, he finally hit his breaking point. And on that day, he made a very simple but very powerful decision.
It wasn't some big, complicated life plan. It was just a single, clear thought, a promise he made to himself. Enough. I have to change. Now. And that one thought was the spark that started the fire.
But okay, how does a single decision, just one little spark, actually turn into real, lasting change? Well, that takes us to section 4, a new beginning.
Now this part is absolutely crucial. The transformation wasn't a miracle. It didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, deliberate process, built one single day at a time.
His path was actually pretty straightforward. It all kicked off with just one small step, one tiny action. Then he made sure to repeat that action, making a daily effort, even on the days he really didn't feel like it. And over time, that consistent daily effort slowly hardened into a brand new habit.
And through that slow, steady process, the person he used to be, he just kind of faded away. In his place was someone totally new, someone who wasn't defined by laziness anymore, but by discipline.
So, what's the big takeaway from this kid's journey? Let's break down the main lesson here in our final section, the lesson for you.
You know, the moral of this entire story is incredibly simple, but so powerful. Real lasting change doesn't start with the perfect plan or some grand strategy. It starts with the quiet power of making a single decision. Just think about that for a second. It's not about having all the answers figured out. It's all about that one powerful moment of choice, when you look at your own future and you just say, enough.
And really, that's where we land. The lazy boy's story is over, but his journey really just points to a universal truth for all of us. So now, your story begins, and it all hangs on one simple question. What will your decision be?